There have been times in my life I've been wondering why. Still somehow I believe we'd always survive. Now I'm not so sure you were here. Just what good reason to try. What more can I say? What's left to provide? You think maybe it's over, not if you don't want it to be. I ain't gonna wait for a sign, a miracle. We'll stand up and fight, sing it out tonight. This is it. Yeah. Make no mistake where you are. This is it. Your back's to the corner. This is it. Don't be a fool anymore. This is it. The waiting is over. Nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. Time for wondering why. It's here, the moment is now. About to decide. Let them leave him behind, but keep me near your heart. And know, whatever I do, I'll be there by your side. 'Cause you said, baby, it's over, only if you want it to be. Oh, and say your love, here's our miracle. Stand up and fight. This is it. Make no mistake where you are. You're gonna know. This is it. Until it's over and done. No one can tell you for you know. You make the choice of how it goes. It's not up to me this time. You know, comes a day in their life. Make no mistake when you are. You're going over. Until it's over and over. One way or another. No one can tell what the future holds. Nobody can tell. Nobody knows. You make a choice from home. You may be on the choice in your life. No one can tell what the future holds. Nobody can tell what you hold. Come on and see what the future holds. You make a choice from home. It's up to you and you and you and you and you and you. Yes, Kenny Loggins, everybody. Kenny Loggins. Thank you. I love you, Mike. The great Kenny Loggins, everybody.
In the name of Allah, the beneficent, most merciful, the truthful, and the most just. I greet all of you once again who are hungry and thirsty for the true understanding of the Word of God. I greet you all with the greeting words of peace. May Allah's salam alaikum. You know, in a day and time, as I told you before, in this day and time where people are running to falsehood like thirsty cattle running to a river, a watering hole. It is clear to me why the scripture says, blessed are they, since most people don't want truth and righteousness. You can see that from just looking around you. You know, righteousness is it goes hand in hand with peace. If you want to know how righteous a society is, just look at this society and see how much peace they have. If there's no peace in this society, there's no righteousness there. The work of righteousness shall be peace. Let me show you here. You notice, when last time you seen me or any of my followers out picketing and demonstrating? You ain't never saw that, and you ain't never gonna see that. Because we practicing what the Word of God says. You know, let me find this for you here. See, this is something that you should in the book of just a moment. In the book of Isaiah, chapter 32, and verse 17. I mean, it's like the lady that asked me about how do you know a true prophet from a false one? Well, how do you know when people have righteousness and when they don't? It's explained right here in the 17th verse of the 32nd chapter of Isaiah. It says, and the work of righteousness, the work that righteousness will perform, shall be peace. And the effect of righteousness is quietness and assurance, not temporarily, it says forever. And you know, being righteous don't mean you somebody's doormat. I mean, let me show you an example. People, they misrepresent the prophets and messengers of God. You are familiar with David and Goliath, right? You do remember that David killed Goliath, right? Yeah, I just want you to remember that. Moses drowned Pharaoh. Elijah took the heads of all of them false prophets. I hear you. So being righteous don't mean you let people run over you. But it does mean you don't be aggressive on people and you try to make peace with whoever you can come in contact with. You don't go around picking on people and purposely picking fights with them. But you know, in this world of wickedness, if you speak the truth to people, a lot of times they will attack you. As Jesus said, Cast not your pearls before swine, for they will root them in the earth and then turn and attack you. Huh? That's why the minute somebody tell me that they don't want to act like they don't want to be bothered with me, I leave them alone. I will try my best to what is that I'm hearing? I will try my best to give you my friendship. What? Look, take your phone off of speaker when I'm talking. I don't want to hear my voice echoing. I try to make peace with you when I meet with you. I try my best not to be offensive. And when I'm out on the street, I see people all the time doing things that I disagree with. But I remember that it's not my place to be out there, call myself guiding people without their permission, without them asking me for something. The only time is, for instance, you notice the store managers or whatnot of Costco's and all of these Walmarts and whatnot. They don't too much say nothing to you. For instance, about wearing a mask, unless you walk in them doors. Now, if you walk in their door, you have to remember you on their property. What's wrong with you? You walk into anyone else's property and they ask you, hey, look, you welcome in here, but you have to dress appropriately. It don't make no, you have to wear a mask. Okay, if you want to come in there, put a mask on. If you don't want to put the mask on, turn around and leave. Anything other than that, you have become the aggressor. And Allah loves not the aggressor. And if you think that's not so, he put it in your very nature to hate it when someone acts aggressively towards you, instead of recognizing that they have rights, but you have rights too, that they must respect. And every man, they have an old saying that I grew up listening to: a man's home is his castle. Meaning he dictates. You think of kings when you think of castles. When you think of a king, you also think of a dictator. Is that right? And you know what dictators do. They tell you how to conduct yourself. When you come under their authority. And make no mistake, when you enter into someone else's home, you are under their authority. When you enter into someone else's business, you are on and under their authority. And if you don't want to accept their authority, that same door that let your behind in there, let it hit you on the way out. Or don't let it hit you on the way out. Leave. Now, if I'm saying something that you take offense at, well, tell me what it is. I mean, if somebody come in your house and don't want to do what you say, I'm on your side to kick their behind out the door. So you got a problem with that? A man's property is his dominion. Do you understand? As long as you understand that, then you can go anywhere and be at peace. If you understand that, that's what you want. When you own something, you want people to respect your ownership of it. I'm going to walk into a man's store or walk onto your property and defy you. I'm not a fool. Foolishness is bound up in the bosom of a child. But the rod of correction will drive it far from him. I didn't hear you. I mean, when I was a child, man, tell you, we used to take pleasure as children. I remember Mr. Wilson had a plum tree. And we'd wait until it was time for the plums to come out. And sometimes we'd go over there and climb the fence and get on his plum tree and start picking plums off of it. Mr. Wilson said, get out of my yard. And we didn't ask him. We just went over there. Because we were stupid children. Hey, man, let's go hit that tree. Got a kick out of going hitting Mr. Wilson's plum tree. And one day he called us, and said, look, now I don't want to have to go tell your daddy or whatnot, but look, if you want something out of my yard, you come ask me. You don't come over here and just jump my fence and do what you please on my property. And so, but we were stupid children. And we had excuse to be stupid because we was children. And he did his duty and made us understand, look, I'm not going to eat all them plums on them trees, but it's still mine. And you don't have a right to come and take what's mine without asking me. Huh? And so, I'm thankful for all of those adults that chastised me when I was a child and got a lot of the foolishness out of me. I still took some of it into adulthood. That's how I got that natural part in my head at one time, because I still had some foolishness in me. So, when you're young, you're quick to fight. You're quick to do something that is not right. So I want to show you something, because many people, you have the wrong understanding of Jesus. Let me show you something here. Now let's go to now, many of you don't understand that Jesus wasn't somebody who just went along with people and you could just run over him and whatnot. Let me show you here. See, they didn't punctuate a lot of these things right. And some of them they did punctuate right. So I'm going to show you here. In the 23rd chapter of Matthew. Now, let's just go down the list here. Then spake Jesus to the multitude and to his disciples, saying, he started off light. He said, the scribes and the Pharisees sit in Moses' seat. Messengers of God know that people want to sit in their seat. They know they want to be in charge. Huh? You notice people come in here and they listen to me and they'll call in and they want to take charge. They want to take over the class. Huh? So it said the scribes and Pharisees sit in Moses' seat, and all therefore whatsoever they bid you, observe. That observe and do. Because if they use the teaching or the doctrine that Moses brought them, they use it to exercise authority over you. They don't really believe in it. But they done a self-appointed people of Moses, self-interpreters of Moses' law. So all that they bid you, observe that. All that they invite you to listen to of the Torah and the books of Moses, observe that and do, obey it. But he said, but do not ye after their works. Don't follow them. It's okay to follow Moses' teaching, but don't do what you see them doing. Do not after their works, for they say and do not. They say the truth, but they don't obey the truth. You notice these people in this day and time, they say Constitution, they say First Amendment, they say Second Amendment, that they don't believe in that. Huh? These people don't, most of them people who hollering the Constitution, this and the Constitution, them people don't believe in the Constitution. They wrap themselves up in it to pretend that it's about Constitution, when it ain't never been about Constitution. They just proved that to you when they tried to overthrow the government. Huh? Okay, just listen. For they are blind, they bind heavy, for they bind heavy burdens and grievous to be borne. They put heavy burdens on others and lay them on men's shoulders, but they themselves will not move them with one of their fingers. I bet you ain't nobody in none of them Republicans in Congress done missed a meal. Huh? And when they get sick, they got that hospital right there. What's the name of that hospital? Walter Reed. Oh, yeah, they can get over there and get some, and they can go there and get that treatment that Donald Trump got, Remdesivir, and that cocktail. Huh? But you couldn't get it. Right? Okay, let's go a little deeper. They ain't got to worry about how they going to shop for Christmas. They check still coming to them, right? From whose money? From your taxes, right? From our taxes. But they think it's something wrong with giving us some of our tax money back. Ain't that something? Huh? I remember this little cartoon. I used to see that the little duck was sold a bill of goods or whatnot, and he was going to quack, quack, quack. I want my money back. Hey, Why? Because you gypped me. I mean, here, if you're not going to use the taxpayers' money to help the taxpayers, why are you taking their money? What is it? You done turn it into tribute money? Tribute money goes to kings. It don't go to a democratic republic. You're supposed to take the money that the taxpayers give you and use it to help them. Even me, the tithes that I take from people. You ask my followers. They used to come to my meetings back in the early 80s and ask them, did I ever pass a collection plate? Brother Oni, are you listening? If Brother Oni there listening, I know you was around. Brother Oni, did I ever pass a collection plate in my meeting? Did I ever ask you for any money when you first met me? Even when I came out and drove out to the West Coast to talk to 2 or 3 people out there, did I ask y'all to help me with some gas money or anything? Press star 5-star on your phone, and because in the book of Malachi, see, y'all never know when I'm gonna call on you. I told you, you don't never know when I'm gonna call on you. Now, do you? See? Now, how that look? I call on you and you ain't there. All right. You wouldn't like it if you called on me and I wasn't there. All right. Now, but look what it says here. This is the 8th verse of the 3rd chapter of Malachi. It says, will a man rob God? Yet you have robbed me. But you say, wherein have we robbed you? In tithes and offerings. You are cursed with a curse, for you have robbed me, even this whole nation. You remember that boy told me he wasn't going to give me now a dime? And said it in front of y'all, didn't he? Now look at the nation. Look at America. You better watch your mouth. You better watch what you let fly out your mouth about what you going to do to me or what you ain't going to give me. This my earth. And if the earth is mine, everything that's in it and on top of it and walking around here is mine. Yeah, that gives new meaning to your behind is mine. Huh? If you think it ain't, you call up here clowning with me again. It says, bring you all the tithes into the bank, into the storehouse, that there may be meat in mine house, and prove me. Now, herewith, saith who? Saith the Son of Man. The Son of Man is the Lord. Huh? Saith the Lord of hosts, if I will not open the windows of heaven and pour you out a blessing, that there shall not be room enough to receive it. See? What I just told you is supposed to happen with tax money, which is generally what the government, when it's working like it should, that's what happens with the tax money. They use it to help the American people who gave that money. Do you understand? That public school system that you say is free? No, it's not free. The taxpayers pay for that. Do you understand? And the government gives them that educational system with the tax money that it collects from them. Do you understand? And so the scripture teaches you look at the things that I've given my followers. I gave them that from the tithes and offerings that they gave to me. I'm not here. How in the world am I going to do anything for you and you tie my hands? You know you can't make it. You can't make it in this world without some money. Especially since you don't have any textile mills to produce your own cloth for your own clothing. You don't have no lumber mills to produce your own lumber and all of that kind of thing. You don't have no smelting factories, steel working factories that you make your own nails and your own hammers and you producing your own tools and stuff. So you need money to buy those things. Is that right? So you give me the tithes and the offerings, and in exchange, you see what I'm giving you back. Huh? You see? You gave, and then you received. Is that right? You ain't gave me no burnt offering. No, you didn't. No, when you give me an offering, you get something back for it. If you just stick around and keep your eyes open, you'll see every penny that you gave me. I used it for you. You ain't gonna accuse me of robbing nobody. I ain't no robber. So, how much did we pay for them flags, brother? Almost 2,000? Yeah. We just ordered some flags for you to make sure that we ain't got no raggedy flags up on the flagpole. You know, we had to pay for them flags. And but you know, I ain't never gonna have it looking like you know, somebody around here ain't paying attention to what's going on. No. You know, I want everything that you have to be top quality. That's what I want for you. I remember that father who said that if you know we seem to have got real good at dehumanizing and insulting those who work for us, who we elect and who work for us. And he said, if you're not careful, you're gonna get the kind of leadership you deserve. And you just had 4 years of the kind of leadership you deserved. You passed over a woman who had a history that made her more qualified than any man before her that had held the office of president. You passed over her and instead gave it to a man who had a history of not only disrespecting women, but not giving a damn about the United States. And ain't no sense in you trying to make it look like I was trying to push Miss Clinton. I wasn't trying to push Miss Clinton. My vote was for Joe Biden if he would have ran. Like I said, I wrote him a letter back then and told him he needed to run. And I wish he would, you know, even after he had suffered all that tragedy and stuff. But I just knew he needed to run. But you also needed to get a wake-up call. because you thought it didn't make no difference who president. They were as good as Grover Norquist, as good as said that. All we know, for the next 20 years, the leadership gonna come out of the House and the Senate. All we need is to elect a Republican that can have good dexterity and sign what we put in front of him. How that working out for you? And man done made America, if America didn't have so many friends, allies, America would be the laughingstock of the whole earth. But friends, when they see you fall or do something that just makes no sense, they don't laugh at you. They try to see what they can do to help you. The very thing that he accused President Obama of making America a joke or whatnot, he the one made America a joke. Talking about Putin respected him. Putin had such disrespect for him, Putin came out and called him a lie in front of the whole world. He done stood up there and told you that Putin, Russia didn't have nothing to do with his election. And when the reporter asked Putin, did you order your people to help Donald Trump in that election? He said, duh, yes. Because I felt like I could, he could normalize relations between us and, what do you mean normalize relations between him and the United States, between Russia and the U.S.? When did Russia and the U.S. ever have any relationships as allies past World War II? And even then, they wasn't really getting along with each other. So how do you have normalized relationship when you're a democratic republic and he's a dictatorship? How does that relationship get normal? I mean, but he called Donald Trump a lie right in front of Donald Trump. Just punked him. I'm telling you, he was a bully when he was young. You know, all bullies are cowards. No, don't take my word for it. Think back. Didn't you ever see a bully get his behind handed to him? Huh? And you said, oh man, I thought he was tough. Is that right? And he was all mouth, wasn't he? That's all Donald Trump is. He all mouth. It's just like them boys who run around, call each other Proud Boys and all this old kind of stuff. They get up in women's faces and get up, find some man, some black man by himself or whatever somewhere, and they gang up on it. That's why Jesus referred to them as wolves. Wolves generally don't hunt alone. They get a pack of them, and then they try to cut a creature out by itself, and then they gang up on him. Huh? Lions go off by themselves all the time. Them male lions. The females, they hunt in a group. But that male lion, sometimes he get over there and get surrounded by a whole bunch of remember this, I was looking at Planet Earth, and this lion was surrounded by about 20 hyenas, and he had his hands full, he had his paws full. Huh? And another lion heard him over there roaring and ran over there. And now just two male lions put them hyenas on the run, brother. Do you understand? See, so, I'm going to tell you something. That's a bad cat. Huh? So I was just thinking over that. I mean, anytime you jump up in women's faces and you call yourself frightening women. I see women on the TV all the time saying that this stuff frightens me and that. Don't be saying them people frightening you. That's what they want to hear. To hell with them. That's all a bully want to know is that he's scaring you. Then he's showing up, show his behind. You just when he talking that talk and talking all tough, don't say nothing. You ain't got to say nothing. Just wait on him. You say, this is one of the things that I used to say when I was a youngster. You can't come after my behind and leave yours at home. So if you feel froggish, you go ahead and leave, man. You got your people mixed up if you think I'm gonna stand here and let you just do whatever you please to me and you gonna walk away just cool. No, you ain't. I might lose, but I'm gonna fight. Now, I bet you won't come back looking for me next time you ready to jump on somebody. No. Mm-mm. No, don't be afraid. Let me say it like this. Don't be ruled by fear. Fear make you strong. Fear make you careful. Fear can be your ally. You know, the one fight that I got in that I wasn't scared was the one I lost. I mean, lost bad, like they got knocked out. I wasn't scared. I wasn't even mad. I just started to fight. I ain't never forgot that. Well, a preacher gave me one of them roundhouse. His brother named Preacher. His name was Claude. We all call him Preacher. He came around with one of them roundhouse thing, hit me in the jaw, and broke 3 of my back teeth. And my jaw used to pop. He almost broke my jaw. And I thought about that. And when I got home and everything, I thought to myself, I said, well, that's what you get for starting something and purposely messing with somebody. I knew I deserved what I got, so I wasn't walking around mad about it all the time. But I was careful from that point on. If I was going to fight him, fight anybody, I was going to be angry, and I was going to be half nervous. I said, anytime you get in a fight that you're not nervous, then why aren't you nervous? Well, you can win, then why are you fighting that person? That's not a fight. You remember the Quick and the Dead, where Gene Hackman, he told what's his name? 'Russell Crowe. He said,
He said, I'm enjoying this. He said, you makes me nervous. So he finally found somebody that got his adrenaline pumping. You understand? And so I mean, anytime you get in a fight, if you ain't nervous, you pick it on that person. You ain't got no business fighting somebody and it don't get you, and you ain't nervous. That's not a fight. You're like man going beating up on a woman. What you doing, man? No, you go pick on somebody. We used to have a saying, pick on somebody your own size. Going around talking about you starting a fight with somebody that you could almost whip with one hand, and you talking about you going to start a fight with them. Yeah, you ain't starting no fight. You just a bully. Yes. Unmute him. You're unmuted, caller. What's the number? Okay, to hell with you. Amen. Amen. And amen. See, that's one of them cowards, Yeah. Yes. Now that's what's it. I mean, just think over that. Ain't that sad? Okay. So what was the number? I didn't hear you. Well, I told you about that, brother. I don't want to talk to none of them anonymous people. You already know what they're about. Why even trouble me with that? Well, beg your pardon? Well, I'm not interested in talking to people who hide in their phone numbers. Because they hide in their phone numbers because of the same reason we used to hide when we threw rocks at cars. Coward, I ain't interested in talking to no coward. I'd rather talk to somebody like Mr. What's his name? Thomas Robb. Thomas Robb wasn't no coward. National director of the Klan. He came in here and talked to me like a man. Matter of fact, we had a pretty good conversation. Didn't we? I can respect a man. Oh, silly woman. Or a man sounding like a woman, couldn't hardly tell. Anyway. But they gets angry, they gets angry. That's the little barking dog. When you get on him, he run, and after he get away for a while, then he start barking. First he squeal, and when he get far enough away, then he start barking. Do you understand? So, I mean, I've seen all of this stuff before. It's funny to me. But anyway, let's get back to this. So you see, tithes and offerings. Tithes and offerings is nothing but taxes for the Lord. And taxes are supposed to be used to help those who gave them. And that's all I've been saying. So now let's go back to Malachi. I mean, not Malachi, to Matthew. And let's see what Jesus had to say. And so we'd understand that Jesus wasn't nobody's doormat. In the 23rd chapter of Matthew, Jesus said, let's cut to the chase. He said, in the 8th verse, but be not ye called rabbi, for one is your master. See how it gives the definition of rabbi? Huh? Rabbi means master, right? Okay. It says, but be not ye called rabbi, for one is your master, even Christ. The head of every man, the master of every man is who? Is the messenger of God. We sent no messenger, but that he should be what? obeyed. Well, if he should be obeyed, he's the master. Is that right? Okay. Then it says, and by the way, Christ means anointed. And everyone that God anoints is God's. That man is trump over everybody else. Do you understand? You know, like we talked about trump cards. When you play bid whist, then you got one suit that's trump. The messengers of God are trump. Do you understand? Okay. So they are the most powerful ones. And it says, but be not ye called rabbi, for one is your master, even Christ, and all of you are brethren. No big I's and little U's, right? All of you are brethren. Then it says, and call no man your father upon the earth. Now, who calls people father? That's the Catholic thing, ain't it? The priests, they call him father, right? Call no man father upon the earth, for one is your father, which is in heaven. Neither be you called masters, for one is your master, even Christ. But he that is greatest among you shall be your servant. Huh? And whosoever shall exalt himself shall be abased. And he that shall humble himself shall be exalted. But woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites. Look at that explanation point there. So was Jesus whispering at them? Or was he fussing at them? He was raising his voice to them, wasn't he? An explanation point means he raised his voice. Huh? But woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees and hypocrites, for you shut up the kingdom of heaven against men. For you neither go in yourself, neither suffer ye them that are entering to go in. Woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, for you devour widows' houses, and for a pretense you make long prayers. Therefore you shall receive the greater damnation. Huh? Look at him. He keeps saying, woe unto you. I told you Jesus wasn't nobody's doormat. And he wasn't no coward. Huh? Now, I could take you through a whole lot more of them woes, but I ain't got to do that. You found them. You can go in there and find them in Luke. You can find them in, Matthew, Luke. That's where most of them is, in Matthew and Luke. So you go in there and you see Jesus had stout words for people. So now, I wanna digress a little. I guess that's what we would call it. Let's go back to some of what I saw today on the news. And really. Go on. Just give me a minute here. I gotta find it. By his own standards. No, that ain't it. Let me see. Let's go down here.
For aerosols use already marked in the history books. It's the tragic anniversary of the massacre at Sandy Hook Elementary School. December 14th also happens to be the anniversary of the death of George Washington, who died on this day in 1799. But when the history of these times is written, December 14th, 2020 will warrant a double entry. Today, December 14th, 2020, the day that we passed the solemn milestone of 300,000 coronavirus deaths right here in the United States,
also marks the first day of the vaccine rollout in this country for the deadly coronavirus pandemic. These images of frontline healthcare workers and residents of nursing homes are filling our televisions today and providing a real-time solve to our pandemic-weary nation. Today's vaccinations come just days after Friday's late-night approval of the Pfizer vaccine, which is expected to pave the way for approvals of similar vaccines in the coming weeks and months. Today, December 14th, 2020, also marks a day that is typically noted by broadcasts like this one as a procedural milestone, but not necessarily a politically significant one. But today's convening of the Electoral College to make official President-elect Joe Biden's decisive victory over Donald Trump takes on monumental importance. Georgia, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Michigan, those swing states whose leaders Donald Trump has spent the last 6 weeks attacking in his attempt to overturn their states' votes for Joe Biden. Today, all those states' electors cementing Joe Biden's win. In Georgia, the first electoral votes cast for a Democratic presidential candidate in nearly 30 years.
Make no mistake of who was actually being attacked. Allah said this to me. You notice many of you that hate me, just like that woman that came in here a little while ago, she hate me. But I know it's not actually me she hates. Look now, this is what Allah said. It says in the 15th chapter of the book of John and the 18th verse, it says, if the world hate you, you know that it hated me before it hated you. If you were speaking of the world, if what was in you was of the world would love his own. But because you are not of the world, but I have chosen you out of the world, therefore the world hateth you. Do you understand that? So when Donald Trump is fussing them Republican, secretaries of state and the Republican electors and all of them, governors and all of that, when he fussing them out, it ain't actually them he fussing out. He's fussing out the democratic process. Do you understand? You see, so don't make no mistake. He hates democracy. Democracy, you remember when he read the snake? I told you, even when he asked, does this make sense? After he read it, he said, does this make sense? He wasn't even talking to them people. He was talking to the other dictators that he's buddied up with and done told what he was planning on doing. You understand? They took him in and put him into the White House. And now he done turned around and bit and poisoned the very system that took him in. I didn't hear you. You better wake up. A man trying to get you to implode. And he's using the weakest minds. Who are the weakest minds? Who've been listening to mostly lies. The more lies you take in, the weaker your mind becomes. Where's my proof? All of you that supporting Donald Trump right now in his bid to overthrow or overturn the election. One of you that is doing that, offering your support to that, come in and let's have a civil conversation. I promise you, I'm not gonna try to front you off or nothing. I just want to question you and you question me and you give me your reasoning for what you are doing. And I just got a few questions I want to ask you. Your position is so weak that you cannot have an intelligent conversation about the position you have taken. That's what lies are. Lies have no foundation. Lies are like props on a stage or in a play. You know, I mean, you need a prop that's a refrigerator or a telephone or whatnot. Well, it just looks like a phone, and it looks like a tree. It looks like a refrigerator, but it's just a prop. It ain't. The refrigerator don't get cold. The phone don't work. And the tree, if you push it, it'll fall over. Do you understand? So that's what a lie is. A lie has no stability. And therefore, when you start questioning the lie, it falls apart. Do you understand? It's like saying that the election was fraudulent. Okay, the election was fraudulent. That's fine. Where is the proof? So just keep saying it was fraudulent. Huh? You just what did he do? The Pilate asked him, what crime is Jesus guilty of? They just kept on saying, let him be crucified. Let him be crucified. But what has he done? Let him be crucified. Let him be crucified. And I'll tell you something else. It's just like when you heard me say that this is white people's country. You misunderstood that. Yes. The mind that originated in white people that they were given, that mind has set this up. Now, what happened? You didn't check Al Jolson out, did you? Al Jolson used to put blackface on. And that was his way of saying and reminding white people that now, after this hundreds of years of servitude, of enslavement of black people, now the mind that was deposited into white people have been redeposited into black people. So now black people are white people in black skin. I didn't hear you. And poor thing, you don't even recognize. You don't even recognize that. I mean, all of the black people that's in America, that grew up in America, they ain't nothing but reflections of you, of white people. You know, and so they want to preserve, and they want to serve, and they want to protect the same country that you claim is yours. They claim it as theirs too, because in their mind, they are just like you. I even have some of, I got some of that in me. So I remember the messenger said, and from here, I don't see any cover left for the white man's skin. You see, the difference in me is that I not only have the mind that I got from you, I also have, which came from God, by the way, I also have the other part. I have the mind that came from the prophets. And so I'm a mixture of the two. And that's why I can talk to you and you can't even form an argument that's worthwhile to talk back to me. Because you got half of mine. I got a whole mind. You see? And I'm offering that to you. And you ain't got sense enough to accept it. You still walking around here thinking that your color makes you better than somebody else. I mean, you're really stupid, man. You know, white skin don't make you nothing. I mean, I'll show you an example. Your white skin don't mean nothing to another white man. If you a poor white trash, he call you poor white trash. He ain't thinking about you. He don't recognize you as something great and you walking around here with holes in your shoes and begging. I mean, really, I mean, you're pretty dumb, ain't you? Now you're mad at me again, right? Well, I'm just telling you the truth. It is laughable. I mean, you still haven't woke up that the only reason that the rulers, the ones who are in charge, that's white, the only reason they gave you that lie was to keep you from concentrating on the fact that they got everything and you ain't got nothing. So they gave you something to hold on to. They gave you white supremacy. They gave you the lie that white skin makes you better than all these other people. And then he make you an overseer. And you get out there and you put the whip on the slave and you do all of that kind of thing. And the white man look at you that's ruling you. He ruling you and the slave. He look at you and just shake his head and try to figure out how could anybody be that stupid. But anyway, that's how it go, man. That's just how it go. So I noticed that none of you offered me no argument back. Come on, argue back at me. Tell me I got it wrong. So I'm a person who likes to make things clear. I think I just made that pretty clear. Let me show you something. If you take all cars and paint them white, is that going to change a Volkswagen into a Cadillac? I'm sorry. Let me quit. I'm going to quit joking at you. Because, I'm just trying to show you how stupid it is to think that somehow color makes a difference. If you got a junk car and you paint it white, it's still a junk car. You just changed the color of it, but it's still a junk car. I done seen white people standing at the top of freeway off ramps with a sign saying we'll work for food in raggedy clothes and all of that kind of. I done seen that. Don't make no difference because his skin white. He's still a beggar. Man, you better wake up. Anyway, let's get back to this.
It was presided over by Stacey Abrams, who called it a moment she's dreamed of all her life, one that she says honors the very foundations of this country's democracy.
This is not a moment of partisanship. This is a moment of patriotism, because we came together to do something that has been done time and again immemorial for more than 200 years. And because we are, there is a United States of America. And it,
Now, even though she's got black skin, she's reciting white history. And is referring to it as we are honoring this. You know, your biggest problem is you ain't paid no attention to what you've been teaching everybody. Bring me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses, yearning to breathe free. Your wretched refuse from your team and shores. And that's what's been coming here. I mean, you got ex-mafia people, you got everybody from everywhere coming to America. To do what? To take you up on your offer of a new life, of changing their stars, so to speak, of going from rags to riches. And then when you see them actually doing that, right in front of you, somehow, you blame them because you ain't got nothing. You never look at yourself and say, well, if I had worked hard like them, I could have some of what they got too. Now, they done came here and did more with the promise of America than the ones who originally was here setting it up. You lazy, man. I even hear my brother say, that's right. He whispered, that's right. That's right. I know that's right. Who's to blame if you white in America and you ain't got nothing? Who is to blame for that? Your skin gave you a head start. And instead of you taking advantage of that, when it was others taking advantage of it, you sit back and you took pleasure in calling me nigger, 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 nigger. And I tell you what, I can write a check for $50,000. I bet that one that was just in here, they calling me nigger, nigger, nigger. You can't write no check for $50. I'd say $500. You might can write one for $50. But I bet you can't write a check for $500. That don't turn into rubber. You got nerve enough to be in here, call yourself looking down on me. And I grew up in poverty. I grew up with nothing. But Allah have given me wisdom to be able to convince others of my kind to trust me with their wealth. And they know that trust has not been misplaced. Who trusts you with anything? Come in here and give me a website to show me what you have did other than sit around insulting other people. Your weak-minded self. Ain't that something? If I was that stupid, I wouldn't embarrass my course. You know, when people are certain degrees of stupidity, they ain't got sense enough to feel shame. Do you understand? And you know, the scripture says, pride goeth before destruction. It's just like, you know, you don't even realize what you're looking at with Donald Trump and all of those fake Republican senators up there who are actually Tea Party people. Those fake Republican people that signed on to that frivolous, unmeritorious filing to get a Supreme Court hearing to back up that Texas Attorney General to get a Supreme Court hearing. You don't even know what that represents. But that represents what the scripture says. Pride goeth before destruction. Any self-respecting attorney or lawyer, any self-respecting lawyer would never have even attempted that, because their pride would have prevented it. If you went to any self-respecting attorney and told him, look, I want you to file this and get the Supreme Court to overthrow the election, he would say, no, I can't do that, man. I got a reputation to hold up here. Huh? Even if he didn't do it for patriotism, he'd have done it for his reputation's sake. Huh? But if you can get people so in love with money that they will do anything for money, including lose their pride, well, then you can destroy them or get them to destroy themselves. Because when a man has no pride, he don't have no bottom. He don't have no line that he won't cross. Do you understand? So the scripture says, pride goeth before destruction. You see? It's just like when people, you remember when everybody thought Hillary Clinton was going to win because of the polls? Huh? And then but wasn't taken into account was the people who didn't normally go out and vote, like these fringe extremists, racists, and bigoted people who had kind of backed out of the arena because they couldn't get nobody to cooperate with them on their racism and stuff. They wasn't counted. And they came out in droves. Do you understand? So everybody was trying to figure out how did Donald Trump win? Well, this time, a lot of the people who normally would have sitted out, they got up and got out and voted. In the polls, that Donald Trump and them had, they knew that their base was going to come out. And they just figured that if the same people came out that supported Hillary Clinton, Donald Trump should have won in a landslide, right? But what happened? Not only did the people who voted for Hillary Clinton come out, people who hadn't voted and sat on the sideline in the Democratic process, they came out and gave Joe Biden a decisive victory. Huh? And it also showed that America was not totally sold over, as now President-elect Joe Biden says that the soul of America was not completely gone. You see, that's the only reason I'm still here with you. Because if you want to put those kind of people like Donald Trump and whatnot in charge of you, well, he ain't gonna be in charge of me. I'll leave you with him. Sure will. He'll fix you. Just like he fixed all the rest of them. Michael Cohen told you what you could expect. What happened to Barr just now? Huh? Anybody that Donald Trump get through with, he do you just like he do a beer can, or what we used to do with beer cans and stuff. When you get through with it, crush it and throw it away and give me another cold one. And that was that. He didn't think about him. But what he could use him for, and if he was that stupid, then Donald Trump ain't had no respect for him no way. Because Donald Trump know he's lying. And if you ain't got sense enough to know he's lying, well, you stupid, and he ain't thinking about you no way. He'll use you for what he can use you for and then kick you to the curb. And he said, you got what you deserve. Just like he said to him now. After trying to get you to throw the Constitution away. And if you say something to him about it, he said, oh, shut up. It said, shut up, said the snake with a big wide grin. You knew damn well I was a snake before you took me in. Ah, is that right? He asked him, he said, does that make sense? But I mean, really, you notice, and we on YouTube, is what I'm saying harming this country? Is what I'm saying making somebody want to go hurt somebody? You ain't got no right to want to go hurt nobody. You ain't got no right to want to go hurt Donald Trump. Donald Trump didn't lie. He lied to you about who he was. He been what he is ever since you met him. Huh? With his lying self. Yeah, Rush Limbaugh ain't been long, got out of drug rehab, and he got, millions of followers? I mean, really? I mean, what is wrong with these people? Let me tell all of you something. You don't have to agree with people to give them the same courtesy and respect that you want to be given. I notice ain't none of them ever invited me to come into their arena. Rush Limbaugh ain't sent me no invitation to come on his broadcast to be interviewed or whatnot. He sent Farrakhan one, didn't he? What, didn't he? How come he didn't just give it a blanket like old Geno Jennings? He was sorry. He said, if there's anyone else, any other you who of the Nation of Islam that want to come in here, you just come on down. Is that what he said? You notice he ain't out there inviting us back. Huh? I put a whooping on him. I mean, I gave him a good whooping. Yes, sir. And ready to do it again if he want to have another one. When I tried to get another one, he said, he told my follower, he said, his people said that Pastor Jennings is not interested in any more debates. I told brother I was going to put a stop to him. Put one to him too. Running around here faking like he understand the word of God. You might can fake it with somebody else. You can't fake it with me. I know you don't know what you're talking about. So we are at that nigger that was just in here a little while ago. Let me tell you something. Whenever somebody calls you something that you are not, then they are projecting. Do you understand? Yeah. Look up the word niggard and then see if it fits me. Niggard. Look it up. With all of the things that I'm giving to you, how could you ever call me niggard? And then look at that person who was just in here and tell her to show you what she's been doing and giving to anyone. And then you see who the real niggard is. Do you understand? All right. There's a whole lot of niggers around here. So, anyway, but as Ms. Abrams was speaking, even though she's black, any white person could stand there and say the same thing she's saying. Am I clear? Why? Because even though our skin is different, the educational system that we came through is the same. So I'm not going to play your skin game with you no more. That day gone. And the quicker the rest of you wake up to that, the better off you're going to be. There's just as many stupid black people as there is stupid white people. And there's just as many stupid white people as there is stupid black people. I'll show you an example. I don't mind showing you stuff. Well, let's see here.
No mask, no service. It's a shame we continue seeing these instances. Get your ass out. There's no reason why you should be able to stop. People who continue to defy the simplisticness of wearing a face covering to save lives.
Your masks don't work. This has been going on for almost a year now. If they work so well, why are people still getting sick?
I wonder, stupid. Brilliant commentary from the peanut gallery.
Answer that question.
Yeah, I can, because they don't wear their mask. They don't wear their mask.
Oh, really? Is that what it is?
This is the game of chicken they play, but instead of chicken, it's human life.
Because one person won't wear a mask.
Goodbye.
That's why the virus is still going on after a year.
You're a dumbass. The woman behind the camera walks away, but wait. Yes, your eyes do not deceive you. An anti-masker was actually placed in handcuffs and was escorted out of Costco by police in Eureka, California. As the virus ravages this country, with Thanksgiving travel taking place, recklessness cannot take place, but of course it still does. There's no reason why I shouldn't be able to shop without a mask on.
Okay. Now that lady was a white woman walking around in the store, and the people told her she can't come in there without a mask on. And she's stupid standing there trying to argue with them that she can come in there. Now let's see here.
I want to do it. Ma'am, if you do not wear a mask, you can just leave. I don't want to hear this. I don't need to hear this. I'm asking you, please. So I am refusing you because you will not wear a mask.
Another anti-masker hit a restaurant.
You need to wear a mask to come in here. Lady, I have asthma. It's really bad. My head.
See, you got stupid black people and stupid white people. It's a whole lot of stupid going on. I didn't hear you. So ain't nobody got no monopoly on stupid. Stupid is an equal opportunity condition. Do you understand? Okay. So you need to cool out and recognize that. Now I'm gonna tell you something. White people, it's one thing that that you will have to agree to. I mean, geneticists. If white people don't stop all of this mixing and going on, and soon ain't gonna be no white people. You know, I'm not trying to get rid of white people. I'm just trying to get rid of that which is destroying all people, including white people, that we put that in. I mean, why should I be out here looking for a white woman when I got a black woman? I don't need to go looking outside of my people for a wife. That's what I was telling Mr. Thomas Robb of the Ku Klux Klan. I don't want your woman, man. I'm satisfied with the black woman. At the same time, if people want to do that, that's their business. I ain't finna get into no thing with you over that. But I want to be with my own. That's all. So, we are not a people who harp on color. But I do understand the long range consequences if that intermixing and stuff would continue, then we would lose a lot of what we have, and we wouldn't recognize the loss until more than likely it'd be too late. You know, I mean, but anyway, but as you get civilized, you will realize that you don't have to go all over the world looking for what's right next door to you. You know, I'm not one who go and see a beautiful community. I've driven through white communities and saw beautiful manicured lawns and beautiful homes that were basically built on the same style for uniformity's sake. And I didn't think about moving over there. I thought about going back and doing something like that in my own town, or my own place where I was living. Just couldn't get others to want to do it too. I mean, you know, I look at the Spanish Americans that come here, and they live. Some of them will live in 2 and 3 families in a house, working, saving their money and pooling it like the Honorable Elijah Muhammad had told us to do. The Spanish Americans were doing it. And a lot of them was taking the Muhammad Speaks and reading them And they was benefiting from it, while the ones that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad originally gave it to, we wasn't doing nothing. Well, that's whose fault is that? So I admire those who showed me that it wasn't nothing wrong with the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. It was something wrong with us. It's just like now. We will carry grudges against each other from now until the world look level. I mean, some of us act like it was black people who enslaved them for 400 years, walking around here carrying ill feelings towards their own parents and ill feelings towards their own brothers and sisters who done suffered like them. But you sure grinning up in white folks' face. If you showed the forgiveness and the kindness to your people that you show to white people, we'd be a lot further along. So I'm just telling you, we need to sweep around our own front door. Just like the 300,000 American citizens dead, and you had all of these people that's so mad because black people reminded you that black lives matter, and then you turn around and said all lives matter. Well, all lives obviously don't matter. Look at all of the 300,000 Americans that's dead. All of them wasn't black people. And you still hadn't tried to do nothing about it. Bunch of liars. Anyway, let me go back over here. You might be here a little longer tonight, but I want to show you these things.
Is on behalf of in 4 other states was next administration. Thank you so much. Joe Biden, a president for all Americans. That will include Donald Trump's allies in the Republican Party who continue to defy all logic, reason, and law for proceeding with their baseless fight to overturn the result. We should know that this morning's electoral votes were being cast just as Wisconsin State Supreme Court handed Trump just his latest defeat, promptly rejecting his lawyers' lingering legal challenge in their state. That's days after the lawsuit brought by Texas to invalidate the will of voters in 4 other states was roundly rejected by the United States Supreme Court Friday night. But only after 2/3 of the Republicans in the House of Representatives had signed on to signal their support for it. In the wake of all of that, at this hour, we turn our focus to California, which is set to cast its 55 electoral votes 1 hour from right now, votes that will likely put Joe Biden over the top, over that 270 vote threshold, and officially and procedurally cement his victory as president-elect of the United States. It'll also signal the complete failure and collapse of the bid by Donald Trump and a completely complicit GOP
of any kind of fraud, and these electoral votes are going to be
in becoming president usually isn't marked in the way we're marking it because of Donald Trump's attack on the democracy. It was in a more fragile state than it usually is on this day.
You know, today is a day that I'm extremely happy. And I haven't felt really happy for a while. You know, we've had this man, driving the bus of denial full of Republican elected officials off the cliff of democracy now for weeks on end. And today, I got to watch live an African-American healthcare frontline worker take the first vaccine. We're going to have our laws hold with the help of judges of both parties, many appointed by Trump across the country, saying time and time again, almost 60 times now, that there is no evidence of any kind of fraud, and these electoral votes are going to be cast. My kitchen and house smells like Christmas, and today I feel like Christmas. It's a great day, Nicole.
The history will be marked by an address by President-elect Joe Biden at 7:30 tonight. Yamish, we just got our first excerpts of that speech. He's going to say in part, in this battle for the soul of America, democracy prevailed. We the people voted. Faith in our institutions held. The integrity of our elections remains intact. And so now it is time to turn the page, to unite, to heal. As I said through this campaign, I will be a president for all Americans. I will work just as hard for those of you who didn't vote for me as I will for those who did. There's urgent work in front of all of us, getting the pandemic under control and getting the nation vaccinated against this virus, delivering immediate economic help so badly needed by so many Americans who are hurting today, and then building our economy back better than ever. That's our first excerpt from an address that President-elect Joe
from the
Amy Stoddard, where do you put the odds of Democrats and Republicans standing up against what Jeremy Bash just described?
Right. I think Jeremy gets the central question is what is the response of Republicans going to be? There are some new whispers of adult leadership coming from Senate leaders like John Cornyn and John Thune today after the certification of these slates of electors saying, it's time to face the music and it's time to move on, and Joe Biden is the president-elect. But it depends how many of them and how forcefully are going to carry this message forward, because there are plenty of House Republicans just proudly and exuberantly promising to blow up this event when the electors are approved in Congress on January 6th. And while they won't technically and materially sort of succeed, it'll be dark theater that will be very divisive. The president will cheer on, and it will be a day where he keeps another list of who dissented and who kind of went along with certifying the electors for Joe Biden. So it's nice to hear Joe Biden's speech that he's going to give tonight. Hopeful, measured, uplifting. That's who Joe Biden is. But when he says politicians don't take power, they get it from the people. There were plenty of politicians that have shown us since November 3rd, including Donald Trump, but those who joined him, that they are willing to take power and they are willing to derail the system and destroy the system were it not for the electoral officials in all these different states of their.
No, see, that's the kind of frightful talk that emboldens those people. Joe Biden told the truth. You don't take power in this country. You are given power. It's just like Adolf Hitler. They gave Hitler power. It was within the German people's power to take that power back whenever they got ready. But he cowed them. He cowed them. The only reason bullies are able to get away with what they get away with is because the people that they bully are ruled by fear. And most of the fear is unwarranted. Look, you think back over the ones who set this up. That one, I think his name was Nathan Hale. Not Nathan Hale. Which one of them founding fathers said, "Give me liberty or give me death"? You remember? Huh? Patrick Henry? All right. I mean, that's a man that you wasn't going to rule him by no fear. Huh? We're up here talking about you going, I mean, you got a democratic republic set up already. You got a way to remove people from office if you don't like them. You appeal to reason. You put forth your case. This is why we need to get this person out of there. And then enumerate the reasons. For even God said, be not is it conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your minds. It says, let me read this to you, because this is in Romans, around the 12th chapter. Let's see. The first verse, it says, I beseech you, therefore, brethren, by the mercies of God, by the scriptures of God, that you present your bodies a living sacrifice, holy and acceptable unto God, which is your reasonable service. Even God don't ask you to do things that's unreasonable. Now, if you are justified to remove anyone from office, you don't have to threaten their life. All you got to do is, by reason, show your justification by presenting the evidence. Huh? If this election was filled with fraud, well then, show the evidence. But no, they going under, tell the big lie and keep repeating it. What did Donald Trump call it when he took that lie to the Supreme Court? The big lie. And have a whole lot of people sign on to it to make it bigger. Do you understand? And the Supreme Court told him, ain't nothing here, man. People wanted them to say more than they said. No, they couldn't say no more because they didn't grant no hearing to it, because it didn't have any merit. There was nothing to say, but it has no merit. You can't hear it. Huh? Understand this. Don't make no difference how many times you tell an intelligent person, a sane person, that black is white and white is black. You can repeat it, I don't care, until the world look level. A sane person ain't gonna never go for that. And they will always tell you, you can get on out of my face with that. You see? So, hear this man, he said he even said this when he was running for office against Miss Clinton. He said, if I win, then it was fair. If I lose, it was illegitimate. You remember that? And he meant that. Michael Cohen told the truth on him. Said Donald Trump don't joke. When he said president for life, he meant that. But when the Constitution said 4 years and then try another bite at the apple, it meant that. Huh? And he lost. So, you know, when right is on your side, God is on your side. Then what are you afraid of? If God be for you, who can be against you? But listen.
Party and the judges that were picked by members of their party who got in their way. And so that's very troubling sign for the strength and the fragility of our democracy. So when Donald Trump says, he sent out a very threatening tweet about, even though Georgia has certified its elections, that, he still wants the governor to overturn everything. He sent it out last night. And when he says, we've just begun to fight, I believe him. And that's why we really don't know what we're getting into between now and January.
Yes, you do know. You know that he's going to be out of there on January the 20th. Stop giving that man power like he's invincible or something. That man ain't invincible. That man is about done lost his mind. Don't you know the difference in crazy and sane? You know, they got a saying in this world. What is insane? When you keep doing the same thing and expecting a different result. Huh? I didn't hear you. How many lawsuits he done filed? Huh? We used to have a word, goo-gobs of them, right? And what he keep filing them for, expecting a different result? Because he's insane. Do you understand? And I told you would see him go insane right there on TV. He haven't even left himself no dignity. He said, you're going to get so tired of winning and win. It looked to me like he's tired of losing and losing. You remember that? The only thing that people tired of, he told the truth when he said people tired of winning, because America winning in how many cases of that virus everybody got. And people are tired of winning. America's number one on people infected with the coronavirus, thanks to Donald Trump. But we sure won that contest, didn't we? And you tired of winning that contest, ain't you? So, you did the right thing. Like I told you, you better be glad it's Joe Biden. You know, whenever somebody go through for instance, you have a house built up or whatnot, and the carpenter finishes it and whatnot, and you go, and then a tornado come through there and just start tearing up stuff and leave half of your house tore up. It's sure nice if the person who built it or somebody who had a hand in building it especially that contractor that you had, is still around, that you can contact him, because he knows exactly how it looked when he finished it, right? So he can come there and tell you, don't worry, I got it. And then he can go straight to work, right? Well, that's what Joe Biden can do. Look at all of the people he's choosing. He's choosing people who he don't have to teach them how it goes. They ain't got to come in there trying to learn the ropes. They can come into the government and start putting everything back like it belongs immediately. You better be glad that you got somebody who been in there. And not only do you have somebody who been in there, you got somebody who just left there 4 years ago, who's willing to come back after you voted for somebody to trash everything that he had done, and he's willing to come back and repair it. Huh? Ain't holding no grudges. Just as good as saying, let's restore the soul of America. Huh? Yes, I'm gonna help him as much as I can. I mean, I was listening to him speaking. And before I play that, I want to play something else.
January 28th. So Robert Costa, this is another sound and sight of the winner's side. The winner, President-elect Joe Biden, Vice President-elect Kamala Harris, they will be addressing the nation tonight at 7:30. Joe Biden making remarks that will include a comment that democracy prevailed, that democracy beats in the heart of all Americans, and that it prevailed over an attempted abuse of power by Donald Trump. It's one of the more frontal indictments of Donald Trump's conduct over the last 60 days. Barbara Costa, any plans, or you think, other than sort of live tweeting along, the White House has any grace notes or any concessions that they'll sound?
You remember in the movie Black Panther? You remember when the little cousin came back and took power and thought he had killed the Panther, the first Black Panther, and then they took him there and made him Panther, right? And then he decided to tear up everything that made him Panther, right? He decided to end it all, huh? What Donald Trump tried to do to the Democratic Republic? Tried to end it all, didn't he? And it just so happened that the very administration that he worked so hard to get rid of, Joe Biden was part of that. And now Joe Biden is back to restore things. Huh? Ain't that kind of poetic justice? Huh? So, and his brother tried to burn down the whole house so he could be king. And convinced a lot of ignorant people to go along with him. Huh? But just watch.
President Trump and his allies are closely watching the Republican Party because they know that some Republican leaders feel like they're a bit in a political corner. They know the political reality, the constitutional reality reflected here on MSNBC this afternoon. The Electoral College is moving forward with this process. President-elect Biden will be president of the United States. At the same time, because of those Georgia runoffs in early January, you could see President Trump nudge Republicans in the coming days to not rally around the idea of President-elect Biden and instead.
Now, how many of y'all saw The Greatest? Muhammad Ali, when he was acting in it. You remember when they was up there training and they had somebody over at George Foreman's camp, watching, see, was it George Foreman? Yeah. And they say, come back and tell Ali what his weaknesses is. And the man started saying, well, if you go to his body, he'll knock you out. And if you try to cover up, he'll knock you out. I mean, he knocking people out, hitting them in the body. He knocking people out, hitting them in the head. And one of the trainers of Ali said, hey, man, get this man out of here. This man been brainwashed. I mean, here this man got 30 more days in office, and he's sitting up there talking about Donald Trump watching the Republican Party as though he got something he could do to somebody if he don't. Look, if you can't win an election without the support of a known liar and crook, you got a serious problem. Here, this man just tried to destroy your government, and you still want his support? Yeah, right on. Let's play it some more.
To wait until there's some kind of political gambit on January 6th. We'll have to see if President Trump's able to fulfill this ambition to have a January 6th showdown, or whether enough Republicans in the next few hours will stand up and say enough.
Robert Costa, I've been part of autopsy efforts in the Republican Party. They famously ignored their autopsy and elected Donald Trump in 2016. Do you think that autopsy in this lost election, decisive defeat to Vice President, then Vice President, now President-elect Biden, do you think it will include any assessment of whether there's any exposure for a party being complicit? 126 members of the House of Representatives signed onto a lawsuit designed to disenfranchise the votes of 4 states. Some of them included votes for them. Is there any talk about damage that's been done by being viewed as being anti-democratic, as acting like autocrats from parts far away from the United States of America? Is there any shame?
I've gone around on this question, Nicole, and what makes this moment so different than 2013 when Reince Priebus, as Republican National Committee chairman at the time, commissioned that autopsy, is the political dynamics in the Republican Party have been upended. In 2013, when they did this autopsy after Romney's defeat, they were looking to, in a sense, say to the base, say to the grassroots conservatives, we need to be a little bit more centrist on issues like immigration. It was the party establishment talking to its grassroots, trying to pull them a bit toward this.
These people talking about an autopsy on a campaign. If you ain't careful, the next autopsy that's going to be done is on the United States of America and how it failed. Now, I've tried to impress upon you the seriousness of this, but it just seems to me some of y'all just stuck on stupid. 74 million people seem to me to be stuck on stupidity. I don't know where you think you're going to get some freedom from a dictator other than God. To make a man like Donald Trump a king? You're out of your damn mind.
Now in 2020, the grassroots, the base, they own the party. President Trump owns the party. There's no real Republican establishment that's different, that's going to somehow have the political capital to speak to the grassroots and urge them in a different direction. So there's no real talk in the Republican Party right now about having some sort of autopsy. You'll hear voices in the coming months like Governor Larry Hogan of Maryland who may say, let's move to the center, but they're not dominant voices.
Tell you what, if you tired of Donald Trump, this is the way Republicans can reclaim their party. Listen to me good now. All of you who see that the party has been hijacked, for the next two elections, become Democrats and take over the House and the Senate. Just vote it all blue. And I guarantee you Trumpism will be over. Then go back to blue and red after you retaken your party, and go back to your brotherhood and go back to what is normal for let me show you something. When you talk about political parties, when you talk about politics, the root word in political and politics is the word polite. Politeness is how civilized people argue with each other. Do you understand? Politeness is the root word of politics. You learn to disagree without becoming disagreeable to get along with. You learn to argue facts. And whichever fact is the weightiest, then you make concessions and move towards that. But the first thing you have to do is eliminate treasonous people who would like to destroy your government from within. They talk about the base. If his base is 34%, then the other 66% is true Republicans. Well, you need to send a message, a clear message, that if you want to be in the Republican Party, you will not be there trying to destroy the Democratic Republic of the United States. I don't care what your excuse is. It don't wash. Just like Chris Matthews said last night when he said this, what can I compare this to? It's like someone taking a loaded 9mm and putting the safety on and then sticking up to your head and pulling the trigger. No, beg your pardon? It was Chris Matthews. Huh? Chris Hayes? Okay, Chris Hayes. He said it's like taking a loaded 9mm and putting the safety on and putting it up next to somebody's head and pulling the trigger. So nothing happened. But do you still appreciate somebody trying that with you? What if the safety didn't work? And what if that was just a dry run to see what you would do? I tell you what you do when somebody do that and play around with a loaded gun with you. Try to fix it where they won't play that with nobody else. Make an example out of them. This is what happened to people who play with my life. So, if you want your House of Representatives and your Senate to function and represent you again, the first thing you have to do is get those treasonous people out of there that was willing to sign on to something that would do away with the republic. For to even sign on to it is going too far. It'd be just like me signing on to something signing on to somebody telling me that there ain't no God and we can throw these Bibles and Holy Qurans away. What do I look like signing on to that? Minute you tell me you don't believe in God, me and you through. If the Bible don't carry no weight with you, then you can get on out of here. I don't need to talk to you. These people want to undermine the very election process that put them in office. No, I ain't with that. Now I'm telling you how to take your party back. All of the true Republicans out there, young man, you can take it back. All you got to do is join with the Democrats, vote all of them out of office. And when they lose and lose and lose and lose, I guarantee you, they won't want nothing to do with Trump no more. I didn't hear you. That's the way you do that. Because I'm going to tell you something. Democrats and Republicans historically have been brothers. Look, a good example is John McCain and Joe Biden. Huh? Joe Biden loved John McCain, and John McCain loved Joe Biden. And they would be arguing with each other on the floor, and then go have lunch together, and come back and argue some more later. Now that's what brothers do, huh? But this stuff they got going on, you got people like Grover Norquist out there telling you that the left is a bunch of parasites, and I mean, he the parasite, turning you against your brother, sowing discord among brethren. Don't let them get away with it. Usher all of the big money people out of your electoral process by telling them, look, we putting them safeguards back. This is how much you can contribute to elections. Other than that, we catch you doing more than that, you going to jail. And tell them in language they understand. Tell them we're going to put your ass in jail. Yeah. That'll fix it. Huh? Anybody disagree with me on that? I'm telling you how to protect your country. All is not lost. You can make not only a blue wave, you can make a blue tidal wave. And just wipe all the red out of Congress, out of the Senate and the House if you want them. Then decide, let them put the power back into the hands of the American people. And then put some true education in the heads of the American people. And bring patriotism back into your school system. And you'll be all right. And I promise you, I'll be right here to help you. Sure would. And I can still build a new nation of Islam without watching you be destroyed. No, you don't have to be destroyed. Nope. Only thing we need to destroy is that which is causing us to attempt our own destruction. And that's easy to do. We just need a new mind. And I happen to have a new mind. You ain't never heard nobody tell you how to do this thing like I just told you. Huh? Wake up, man. People trying to take your power from you. I realize now how powerful the vote is. I understand that now. Cool. You take your power back. Make them afraid. You remember when they was having that debt crisis debate during the Obama administration, and the phone lines got backlogged and whatnot, and 70-some% of the American people told them to what they wanted done, and they refused to do it? That told you that you had lost your power. They didn't fear you no more. They feared the people with all of the money. It's time now that you take all these crooks out of Congress, all these puppets that's been put in your government. You need to take them out and make people come back and talk to you, the American people. Make them explain themselves to you. And stop believing all this hype that you see on the internet and all of that other stuff and start listening for real truth. You can always tell when somebody giving you real truth because they don't mind being questioned. Do you understand? And then let the Justice Department do their job. Put a stop to the propaganda. Look, reinstitute the laws against propaganda. And if people can't back up what they say, if they cannot offer proof and facts as to where they getting what they saying from, then they don't have the right to stand up and purposely lie to the American people. Because now we know the consequences of lying to the American people. When you give people misinformation and they believe you, then they base decisions on that misinformation. The Holy Quran says, "O you who believe, if an unrighteous person brings you news, look carefully into it, lest you harm a people and then be sorry for what you did." You know, most people that wouldn't vote for Miss Clinton resented the fact that she was so smart and was a woman. And instead, they voted for a known crook. A thief and a liar. A con man. Because you didn't think it mattered who's president. Now you got people standing in bread lines that ain't never stood in bread lines before. Got more people dying every day than died in wars. I thank Allah for putting it in the hearts of many to not be tricked into putting that maniac back into the White House. The only thing I can think of, the reason he having all them parties in there so he can saturate it with that virus. That's the only thing I can think of he doing it for. So I say to those who are the CDC and those who protect the president, you need to make sure that you get in there and what they call it, fumigate or whatever you need to do in the White House to make sure it's safe for President-elect Joe Biden and his family and all of the other people that's going to be in there working to try to restore the country's government. So, I thought this conversation that the newscaster, what's her name? Just a moment.
he will say that it beats in our hearts. He's also expected to make a reference to democracy prevailing over an abuse of power, attempted abuse of power. Where do you put today's electoral college win in terms of sort of moments of history in this unprecedented time that Joe Biden will assume the presidency in?
Sure. Nicole, I think I should say full disclosure, I've helped President-elect Biden with speeches in the past. If he asks me, I'll do it in the future. I had nothing to do with tonight. So I'm just talking here. But I was, because of the way I spend my time, I was reading Theodore Parker earlier today. I'm sure you would just put your Theodore Parker to the side. He was a 19th century transcendentalist who you really can't make this up because I really was doing it. And he was the author of two important lines that endure in the American experience. One is the arc of a moral universe bending toward justice. That's drawn from Parker. The other is the democracy is a government of, for, and by the people. That's where Lincoln got that language for the Gettysburg Address. And what's so essential, I think, about today is it's a manifestation in our time of what Parker called, more than 170 years ago, the American idea. And this is an abolitionist in the North trying to make a case for the full application of the implications of the Declaration of Independence. And he said the American idea was that we are all created equal, we have inalienable rights, and governments are established to protect those rights and give people an opportunity to, as Lincoln would later say, have an open field and a fair chance.
Now, whether you heard him like I heard him, I want you to understand that that is the sole purpose of government. The sole purpose of government is that it regulates the society's interactions with each other to give everybody an equal opportunity. Not to make the opportunity, but an equal opportunity to compete and make opportunity for themselves. Do you understand? It's just like with me. I've learned from studying the American government, I've learned how to better do what I'm here to do. That's why I tell believers, look, if you in business and you trying to really, I see that you really trying to do something, just ask me. I'm going to help if I can. The principle of government is simple. The government, this government, it does not supposed to compete with the private sector. While taxing the private sector, why would you be competing with them for the revenue? No, you support the private sector with laws and rules that make for a fair playing field, a fair workplace, a fair opportunity to grow and develop. And whatever grants or whatever they need to become viable, by all means, give it to them. Because as they become viable, then that is tax revenue that's coming back to the government. Do you understand? To do more for its citizens. And the more people you have in business, the more people that are successful in business and creating jobs, the more tax revenue comes in. Then you can upgrade your schools. You can take care of your highways. You can take care of your law enforcement. You can take care of all of the needs to make your country more secure. Give them low or no interest loans for your business community. Give it to them. 1%, 2% interest, or no percent. Because as they become successful, that not only it's just like when they bailed out General Motors. General Motors not only paid back the loan, but then that tax revenue was back into the system again. That was a wise investment. And that's the purpose of government, is to provide a safety net. Yes, a safety net. How could you want businesses in your country to fail while your system is called capitalism? You should want all of your businesses to prosper. Because the more the businesses prosper, the more revenue is generated. The more jobs that people have, the more revenue of excess is generated to make sure that the people that's generating that revenue can have health care, stay healthy, and their children can be well educated, and all of that. And then you truly do become part of that which is called a city on a hill. I don't want to see you fail. I don't spend my time going around because I don't have what other folks have, wishing that they didn't have it. I would much rather watch them and see how they do it and see if I can go and do the same thing. And then I can have what they have by doing what they did to get it. As long as what they did to get it was not something that's against the word of God. I don't have to be a criminal to be prosperous. I refuse to be a criminal in order to gain prosperity. And I'm telling you that it don't take a whole lot of folks to start something that's good. An idea can be in one person's mind, and that idea can take root and spread all over the earth. As time spent trying to solve the problems that humanity faces is time well spent. And you should never regret the good that you wanted and attempted to do for others, even if others did not appreciate it. I mean, there was a time when you didn't appreciate the good that your parents was trying to do for you. But if you live long enough, you grow and you grew to appreciate what your parents did for you when you matured enough in your mind to understand the value of what they did. So it takes time sometimes for people to understand that you mean them well. When you mean someone well, it's just like the scripture says that spare not the rod simply because of the child's crying. No, put it on them anyway. Well, likewise, I don't care about people getting mad because I'm telling them the truth. Because I know one day, if they live long enough, they're going to appreciate a man like me far more than they ever appreciated a man like Donald Trump. Because they're going to understand both of us. Then they will understand who was really their friend and who hated them. Anyway, let's look at this interview a little bit more. Y'all gonna have to be patient tonight.
And that's what a democratic republic is supposed to do. It's not supposed to be a cult of personality. It's supposed to be an arena for us to be protected by law in order to pursue happiness. That's the entire point of the country. And I'm fully aware we haven't lived up to the full implications of that. But what we've seen in such vivid terms in the last 5 years is how fragile this experiment is. And what we have to do as citizens, the leader, we spend all of our time talking about leadership, and of course we should. But let's remember, leaders are mirrors of who we are as well as makers. And I think we have to really engage in an era of what I keep thinking of as entrepreneurial citizenship. We have to be players in this arena and not simply be polarized.
I want to ask you how we do that. I read a quote from the Washington Post with a 58-year-old Trump supporter who came to protest in Washington, D.C. this weekend after the Supreme Court delivered, the latest in what was close to 4 dozen legal defeats. None of Donald Trump's lawsuits were actually predicated on laws or evidence that served their case. They were all political efforts to try to defraud, frankly, and a fraud-free election result. And I wonder what you do when a 58-year-old Trump supporter says, I will lay down my arms. I will put down my Stop the Steal poster when Donald Trump and Mike Pence tell me to lay down my arms. What do we do if that call never comes?
Yeah, I saw you that, and that was the woman who talked about it being a godly protest, right? I think she was a religious person who was doing that. Here's what I would say to her and to my co-religionists in the Christian world. Let's engage with first things. And the first element of religion, broadly put, and particularly in our case, in the American context, is the Sermon on the Mount. We are called to love our neighbor as ourselves. And that's incredibly difficult because who wants to love their neighbor as themselves? That's the reason it's so radical. The reason it's so revolutionary is because it's so damn hard. But that's what we're called to do. And so the other incredibly important point there is render unto God that which is God's and Caesar that which is Caesar's, but don't conflate the two. And what I would argue, and I think the vernacular we have to establish, the conversation we have to have, and it has to be a conversation, is that we can share values even if they find different expression in our policy choices. And that's what's shifted here. That's
Now, the woman says she'll put down her arms when Donald Trump or Mike Pence tell her to. Well, my next question is, who are you taking up arms against? Well, arms against who? Your fellow Americans? Your neighbors? I mean, I hear all these people talking about they need their guns, they need arms, they coming to take your guns, they coming to take you. Who is this they? You have, I need you to hear something else here. This is really, I was looking at it, and you know, if you don't understand what you're looking at or what you're listening to, Jesus warned you in his parable of the sower. He said, this is the 13th chapter of Matthew, and I'm going to start at the 3rd verse. It says, and he spake many things unto them in parables, saying, behold, a sower went forth to sow. And when he sowed, some seeds fell by the wayside, and the fowls came and devoured them up. Some fell upon stony places where they had not much earth, and forthwith, meaning immediately, they sprung up, because they had no deepness of earth. And when the sun was up, they were scorched, and because they had no root, they withered away. And some fell among thorns, and the thorns sprung up and choked them. But others fell into good ground and brought forth fruit, some 100-fold, some 60-fold, and some 30-fold. Who hath ears to hear? Let him hear. Whoever have spiritual ears to understand this, let him understand. That's what Jesus said. Then the disciples came and said unto him, why you speakest thou unto them in parables? They didn't understand either, but they said, why are you speaking to them in parables? And Jesus answered and said unto them, because it is given unto you, it will be given unto you to know, to understand the mysteries of the kingdom of heaven, the scriptural mysteries. But to them, it is not to be given. For whosoever hath, to him shall be given, and he shall have more abundance. But whosoever hath not, well, if you have no understanding, from him shall be taken away even that which he had. Therefore speak I to them in parables, because they seeing see not, and hearing they hear not, neither do they understand. And in them is fulfilled the prophecy of Isaiah, which saith, by hearing you shall hear and shall not understand, and seeing you shall see and shall not perceive. For this people's heart is waxed gross, and their ears are dull of hearing. You know, what's in your heart determines what you have an appetite for. It's what's at the heart of you, what your heart is set on. And you know, I've heard white people use this term. Boy, that's gross. They meant that's really bad. This people's heart is waxed gross. Their heart has grown gross and just yearning for not good things, but for bad things. And their ears are dull of hearing. And their eyes they have closed. Like the woman standing up there talking about it's more people getting sick and sick all the time, and wearing masks ain't helped. And just she's standing up there without a mask and trying to figure out how come people keep getting sick. Huh? Then it says, their eyes they have closed, lest at any time they shall see with their eyes and hear with their ears and should understand with their heart and should be converted, and I should heal them. But blessed are your eyes, and for they see, and your ears, for they hear. For verily I say unto you that many prophets and righteous men have desired to see those things which you see and have not seen them, and to hear those things which you hear and have not heard them, Son of Man. Hear you therefore the parable of the sower. When anyone heareth the word of the kingdom and understandeth it not, then cometh the wicked one and catcheth away that which was sown in his heart. This is he which receives seed by the wayside. Whenever you hear someone tell the truth and don't acknowledge it or don't really understand it, then comes the wicked one and can give you misunderstanding of something good and make something good sound like it was evil. And here's a good example of that. I'm going to show you.
We have met the enemy, and he is us. This is perhaps the most remembered phrase attributed to the cartoon character Pogo in a syndicated cartoon strip of that same name. Pogo was the invention of cartoonist Walt Kelly and first appeared 66 years ago this week on October 4th, 1948. The phrase, we have met the enemy and he is us, pretty well sums up Kelly's attitude toward the foibles of mankind and the nature of the human condition. Indeed, our fallen nature, if unaffected by God's grace, leads us to harm ourselves. We become our own.
Now look, I think I'm going to open this up in another so that you can, I can slow it down and you can hear what this man is saying. Because this is a good example of what I was just saying to you. Now, I want you to pay good attention. Let me slow it down some.
We have met the enemy, and he is us. This is perhaps the best remembered phrase attributed to the cartoon character Pogo in a syndicated cartoon strip of that same name. Pogo was the invention of cartoonist Walt Kelly and first appeared 66 years ago this week on October 4th, 1948. The phrase, we have met the enemy and he is us, pretty well sums up Kelly's attitude toward the foibles of mankind and the nature of the human condition. Indeed, our fallen nature, if unaffected by God's grace, leads us to harm ourselves. We become our own enemy when we act in ways that are contrary to the immutable laws of the universe. And just as this is true for persons, it is also true for nations. And here's an example of what I mean. Back in January 1944, just 4 years.
Why do you suppose he have that music playing in the background? It is both to lull you into you notice you used to looking at movies and whatnot, and haven't you noticed that all of the movies you watch always have music in the background? Even though you consciously remove the music and you just listen to but the music is to help keep you what you call affixed to what's being said and to distract. Because if you did it without a movie and without the music, a lot of it wouldn't make no sense to you. Do you understand? So now I want you to listen to what he's saying. He even invoked God at one point there.
Pogo appeared. President Franklin Roosevelt, in his annual address to Congress, set the nation on a path that would destroy America as the founders envisioned it.
He's now saying President Roosevelt set America on a path that would what? Destroy America as the founders envisioned. Now he's speaking for the founders. I tell you what, George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, Ben Franklin. You know, if you're going to speak for the founders, don't you think you should do so as someone of rank? Huh? It's just like me. If I'm going to speak for the prophets, then who am I? I better be somebody. Is that right? I mean, you don't just stand up and talk about, well, this is what Jesus meant. Well, who are you to tell me what Jesus meant? I'm the Son of Man. I am of the same mindset as them. Now, this man has never been president. Who is he? He's nobody. But he's judging a president. He's judging a president who served, matter of fact, he's the only president that I know of that served 3 terms. President Roosevelt. And he's not only called himself speaking and judging President Roosevelt, but he lied on President Roosevelt about he was destroying the America that the founders envisioned. Huh? Okay. Let's see here. Let's go back to that.
In the immutable laws of the universe. And just as this is true for persons, it is also true for nations. And here's an example of what I mean. Back in January 1944, just 4 years before Pogo appeared, President Franklin Roosevelt, in his annual address to Congress, set the nation on a path that would destroy America as the founders envisioned it. The plan he declared to the nation in that speech was destined, if not designed, to make America its own enemy. Here's what FDR said in that speech.
This republic at its beginning and grew to its present strength under the protection of certain inalienable political rights, among them the right of free speech, free press, free worship, trial by jury, freedom from unreasonable searches and seizures. They were our rights to life and liberty. Now, up to this point, Roosevelt has said nothing amiss. He is describing the God-given rights that are the subject of the first 10 amendments, the Bill of Rights. But listen to what he says next. Quote,
Now remember what I just read from Jesus said, when anyone heareth the word and understandeth it not, immediately the wicked one cometh and snatcheth it away. Huh? Okay. Now he gonna tell you what was meant by what was said. He gonna tell you that President Roosevelt was undermining what the Bill of Rights said and what the Declaration of Independence had in mind. Now just listen.
as our nation has grown in size and stature, however, as our industrial economy expanded, these political rights proved inadequate to assure us equality in the pursuit of happiness. So to speak, we need a second Bill of Rights, under which a new basis of security and prosperity can be established for all. Among these are the right to a useful and remunerative job, the right to earn enough to provide adequate food and clothing and recreation, the right of every family to a decent home, the right to adequate medical care, the right to adequate protection from the economic fears of old age, sickness, accident, and unemployment, the right to a good education. Now, please note that Roosevelt's so-called Second Bill of Rights is not based on the same premise as the original. In the American view, the purpose of government is to secure, to protect, and defend God-given rights. But God didn't grant anyone the right to a decent home at the expense of others.
What did Jesus say? Love your neighbor as who? Is that not meaning if you have a decent home, you should want your neighbor to have one too? I didn't hear you. None of you is a Muslim until he loves for his brother what he loves for himself. I didn't hear you. See how he's perverting and trying to make good appear as evil? Huh?
To a remunerative job at the expense of others.
Tell me something. If you think people have the right to pursue happiness, how can they pursue happiness if their immediate needs of food, clothing, and shelter are not secure? And how can they be secure if they don't have the right to gainful employment? I didn't hear you. You cannot, on one hand, say that people have the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, and then say they don't have the right to a decent home, a decent job that will see after their immediate needs, and decent health care. I'd like to get a man like that in here, and instead of him talking at a camera, he needs to be talking to another person who can talk back. Huh? Now, yeah, he's trying to condemn President Roosevelt for trying to live up to what the Declaration of Independence and that came out of their mouth. As he said, we have seen the enemy, and it is ourselves. The enemy of what? The enemy to the Declaration of Independence. You enslaving people. While you claim that every human being is endowed by his creator with inalienable rights. The first one, the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. While you are depriving a whole nation of people from that, of that. Yes, we have met the enemy, and he is ourselves. And as long as the only one that you care for is yourselves, then yourselves is your worst enemy. Because your self-love, even that, is a violation against God, because he told you that you should love your neighbor the same way you love yourself. Didn't hear you. But he's sitting up trying to pervert the good that President Roosevelt was trying to lead the country into.
But education at the expense of others, nor the food and clothing and recreation paid for by others.
Who are the others? Don't everybody in America pay taxes? Well, what do you mean, the education paid for by others? Well, I can understand you having a problem with it if you wasn't benefiting. It ain't just your taxes that you paid that's paying for that school system. Others are helping pay for that school system. So why shouldn't others enjoy it too? And what about those who do not have as much to give or to pay? So they should not be sharing, we should not share with them? So we don't have to care about them. There was a man on the road to Jericho, and he got beat up and robbed and left for dead. Jesus was asked the question, who is his neighbor? He said, who is my neighbor? And Jesus answered him with a parable. He said, a man was on the road to Jericho, and he got beat up and robbed and left for dead. And a priest came to where the man was and passed by on the other side. And a Levite came to where the man was, and he too passed by on the other side. But a Samaritan came to where the man was and had compassion on him, and climbed down off of his beast and bound up his wounds, and then put him on his beast and took him to an innkeeper and told him, gave him 2 pence and told him that take care of him. And whatever you spend more on him, when I return, I will pay you. And then Jesus asked that man, now, which of them was neighbor unto the man that was beat up and robbed? And he said, he that showed compassion on him. He said, well, then you go and do the same. Now, my question to white people, what have black people did to you? What have we did to you? What have we practiced unjustly to you? We didn't come and get you out of Europe and bring you here and enslave you. You went and got us out of Africa and brought us here and enslaved us. And then you miseducated us. You prevented us from being educated for 300 straight years. so that you could use us like you use animals. So yet we fought your wars. Even right now, a lot of the frontline workers in your hospitals look like me. They're my black people. Some of them have died trying to serve your community. When I was over in Vietnam, it was young black men everywhere over there, dying, and didn't even know what we was over there for. I know I didn't know what I was over there for. When you were in your wars, whatever wars you was in, you didn't mind using us for your pawns, and you did so. And then when we came back to this country, you treated us just as bad as you always did. And then you walk around here acting like it was us that did that to you. Yet, I have seen some Caucasian people, and lots of them, had some of them come in here and tell me that they hated what they saw being done to us. Okay. When I saw all of those white people in Wisconsin and other places all over America demonstrating and saying Black Lives Matter, and that what was done to George Floyd, was that was enough. That was that's it. I'll see. I'll see if you meant it. Like I said, I live up to what I say I'm gonna do. I was happy that Joe Biden won the election, which told me that it's more people in this country that is against evil than it is for it. Well, okay. Well, then I'm going to do my part to help you. I just gave you the solution to all of these crooks in your government. But you got to band together. If you band together, just convert to all Democrats and vote all of them out of there. And then when they see it all blue, they get the message. And then those who crawl off from under a rock will have to go crawl back up under their rock. Or they will have to change their mind and recognize that ain't nobody going back to darkness. If you was born in darkness, it's easy to be convinced to stay there. But once you get a taste of the light, darkness can no longer be appealing to you. You just can't. It's just like being born. That's a one-way trip. You can't go back up in there. Once you out, you out. Life has to go on. You know, you were given birth to, you a live birth, then life must go on. You can't go back. I don't care how you cry and holler and hoop and try to get back up, you can't get back up in there. That's a one-way trip. The truth has come. No more lies. The truth has come, and falsehood must vanish. Now here this man trying to reinterpret a man that he's not even qualified to untie his shoe.
Likewise, the right not to be afraid of old age is nowhere granted by God. So Roosevelt said,
The right to not be afraid of old age. That's all covered under simple language. Love your neighbor as yourself. Honor thy father and thy mother. It didn't say throw them away like you would something, old garment or something. It said honor them. That your days may be long upon the land which the Lord your God giveth you. Huh? It is amazing to me how people think they can run game that don't believe in God, but they like to invoke God. While most of them ain't never even picked up a Bible. You know that by what you hear come out their mouth.
Bill of Rights is really the enemy of the real Bill of Rights. You see, in order for government to provide what the second Bill of Rights guarantees, it must necessarily violate the real Bill of Rights by stealing the money it needs to make the phony guarantees.
Ain't that something? You know what stealing actually is? It's taken from people who gave something willingly, and you didn't give them nothing of equal value in return. When we go buy gas, how much is the tax that's added in there automatically on gas now? Do you know? Any of you? Well, there's taxes in there. When we go purchase certain goods from the market, we pay taxes. So explain to me how given some of the tax money that the state and the federal government takes from us, and make no mistake, they take it. They don't ask you, do you want to pay tax on this? Do they? If you walk out of that store with it, you're going to be done paid the taxes on it. Right? Okay. Well, how is it stealing if the government that takes from all of its citizens when they shop, when they work, they take from you equally? How is it stealing when they give some of that money back to where it's needed to help some who need help? How is that stealing? See, people like him, they have to talk to a camera and not to another person, unless that person is ignorant. Because if they talk to an equal, then their arguments, they know, will not hold any weight. It's just like when they went to pretend to be going to the Supreme Court with a legitimate argument. That was for the ignorant. Those, the knowledgeable people knew that the Supreme Court didn't have no jurisdiction or no standing in, to even hear that. Hear what? You go up to the Supreme Court with nothing. You're wasting that court's time. But that was to give the appearance to the ignorant, who were willfully ignorant. Their eyes they have closed. Remember, Jesus said that? Lest at any time they should hear with their ears and see with their eyes and understand with their hearts and should be converted, should be changed, and I should heal them. So,
rights is a fraud. The second Bill of Rights says that government force must be brought to bear to obtain equality of economic outcome.
You know what equality of economic outcome is? It's just that. It's a level playing field. That's one of the reasons why they have laws against a monopoly. You remember they trying to break up the monopoly that, what's that, Facebook? They got a monopoly, just bought up Facebook and Twitter or whatever. They bought up Twitter and whatnot, and now they're a monopoly, and they said, no, you can't be no monopoly here. I didn't hear you. WhatsApp and Instagram. But that does away with competition, which means that now you can hijack prices and stuff or whatever it is you're gonna do on that. You can't do that. Huh? Competition is good. Competition is what capitalism is about. Huh? So the government regulates the affair. Just like referees regulate prize fights. I mean, the men in there throwing punches on each other. If one hit a low blow, the referee say, hey, man, what you doing? Take a point from him. Huh? Make him pay a price. You won't hit no low blow again, pretty soon I'll give the fight to the man. In baseball, umpires, they make calls and coaches come out there and be railing and going on, and the umpire tell him, okay, that's enough. Huh? Better not put his hands on the umpire. Then he out of the game. You out of here. Go to the locker room. Get off the field. Is that right? That is what government does. Government, if you don't want to conduct your business in an upright, honest manner, government will take you off the field. Is that right? Yeah. Well, you take him out of there. No, you can't do that here. Now, we done fixed it. This country has made you wealthy, and you don't want to give nothing back in the way of taxes or whatever. What's wrong with you? Oh, yes, you will, or you won't do it here. You won't do your business here. So, but this fella, who is he? Nobody. That's why the old people used to tell us, consider the source. Just because you see a person with a suit and tie on, or a shirt and tie, and a decent haircut and a shave, that don't mean they somebody special. Do you understand?
Second Bill of Rights reflects the premise and the philosophy of the Communist Manifesto. The Second Bill of Rights has led to...
Now he drops a buzzword in there. Communists. How's the Bill of Rights and living up to the Declaration of Independence communism? Do you find in communist countries where people have the freedoms that you have under the Constitution and the Bill of Rights in America? Have you found that they have those type of rights?
Obamacare, and it's a common core. The Second Bill of Rights has destroyed the First Bill of Rights. Isn't it time to abandon the...
Now you're getting to the point. He wants you to throw away your core beliefs and throw away your Constitution. Because if everybody does not have the same rights under the Constitution, then the Constitution is invalid if it only applies to certain groups. If it either applies to all or none. And the job of government is to see to it that it applies to all. Huh? It's just like when they was down there ripping babies away from their parents and whatnot on the southern border. They threw the Constitution away. Because the minute that those people were taken into custody by this government, the minute you accepted them and took authority over them, then they had the same constitutional rights as everyone else in this country. And one of those constitutional rights is the laws against illegal searches and seizures. You had no business seizing their children and doing things, seizing their property or nothing else without going through a court system and showing justifiable reason why you should be able to do it. That's one of the reasons why you didn't want us to get an education. Because if we got an education, we would see how you have been trampling on the rights that you claim all of the citizens have. We would see what a hypocrite you are. Anyway, I'm going to put a stop right there. If it pleases Allah, Wednesday, we will go into other things with you. But I'm telling you, the only way to put a stop to a bully is to stop being afraid of him and letting your fear of him rule you. Stand up to him. They'll stop. And if you want to put a stop to all the crooks in the Senate, temporarily join the Democrats and just vote them all out of office. And then the true Republicans can claim their party, reclaim their party, and appoint whoever you want over the what you call the GOP, the Republican National Committee. Elect you some new people to be over it. Because once you get rid of all of the The money that they can put in it, they can't buy their way in there, and ain't nobody got to be beholden to them. To hell with that. If you say that this is a government of the people, then give it back to the people. And you never should have took it from them in the first place. You done made it the government of the rich people. Give it back to the people. And you will see that people will be more responsible to you. And once they know they have to answer to you, I guarantee you they'll get more polite. They'll get more what they're supposed to be. They will put some restraint on themselves. Okay. If there are no questions, may Allah bless us and keep us safe and in our right minds. And whenever I say these things, I'm saying that for those who are believers in the Word of God and who are hungry and thirsty for righteousness and who believe in right and justice. So may Allah bless and keep us all safe. And I'm so thankful, and everybody should be willing to wait and let the healthcare providers get vaccinated first, because they are the ones that's been on the front line trying to take care of the rest of us. We've waited this long, we can wait until we know they are safe. Put them first now. Okay, my prayers is for every one of you, and those who have been working in the stores and whatnot. Give them priority, because they kept everything open for us. And I pray Allah to grant that all of those who have taken such good care of us will now be taken good care of. So may Allah bless you all, keep you safe, and in your right mind. May Allah's, and may He grant you a peaceful night's rest and sleep, and a happy and peaceful morning's rise. May Allah's, Salam Alaikum.